Thanks, Nathan. New at noon, City of Little Rock Director Irma Hendrix has died at the age of 91. Mayor Frank Scott Jr. says Hendrix died peacefully at her home yesterday evening. The mayor's also ordered the City of Little Rock flag to be flown at half staff in her honor. Hendrix served on the city board of directors from November of 1993 to December of 94. She was in her fourth term after being reelected in 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2018. Much more on her legacy tonight at 5 and 6. Turning now to COVID cases in the state. Cases seem to be on a downward trend, but the numbers are still high. Let's take a look at our statewide COVID numbers this afternoon. We have 2,181 new cases of the virus across the state. That's our biggest increase in a 24-hour period since Saturday. Despite thousands more cases being reported Wednesday, our active case count went down by nearly 300. That number now sits at around 19,500. COVID-related hospitalizations are down as well. 19 fewer people are fighting the virus in hospitals in Arkansas. That total sits just above 1,200. Meanwhile, 320 people are on ventilators, one less than we saw on Tuesday. And unfortunately, we have had 2 consecutive days with more than 30 deaths due to COVID-19. 34 more Arkansans have died from the virus. President Joe Biden is speaking later this afternoon about the surge in coronavirus cases, unveiling a 6-point plan to combat the latest phase of the pandemic. We expect a big part of the plan will include getting more people vaccinated. Skylar Henry is at the White House with more.
President Biden has signed an executive order requiring all federal workers be vaccinated as part of his new strategy to combat the coronavirus.
We know that increasing vaccinations will stop the spread of the pandemic, will get the pandemic under control, will return people to normal life. That's what our objective is.
In addition to increasing vaccination rates, the plan he's announcing today includes more protections for vaccinated Americans, increased testing and masking requirements, improving care for people with the virus, protecting the economic recovery, and keeping schools safely open.
We have more work to do, and we are still at war with the virus and with the Delta variant.
President Biden isn't expected to issue a mandate requiring all Americans to be vaccinated, but the White House is encouraging businesses and local governments to take that step. The Los Angeles School Board is expected to vote on a new measure today requiring students 12 and older be vaccinated in order to attend in-person classes.
That's why there isn't measles and mumps and rubella in our schools, because we vaccinate and we require it. It's a mandate. This is a mandate to save lives.
Nationwide, available data shows more than 252,000 children tested positive in the last week, accounting for more than a quarter of all new cases. But some parents are protesting against school mandates.
It's a violation against this nation.
And lawsuits challenging the safety measures are reaching the courts.
I don't know why the masks have politics around it.
A judge in Florida recently ruled Governor Ron DeSantis cannot block schools from requiring students to wear masks. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Florida judge who ruled against the mask ban there cited the Delta variant, saying it is more infectious to children. The state of Florida is appealing the judge's ruling. In the THV 11 update this afternoon, an Arkansas appeals court throws out a lower court's ruling that gave Little Rock police officer Charles Starks his job back early last year. That decision, as you might remember, was big news back in January of 2020. The Little Rock Police Department had fired Officer Starks after he shot and killed Bradley Blackshire during a stop. They say he broke department rules, but Pulaski County Circuit Judge Tim Fox said Starks' actions were reasonable given the situation. Fox ruled that termination was too harsh a punishment. 20 months later, the city has gotten that decision tossed out. The appeals court orders Judge Fox to hold a new hearing and instead of deciding whether Starks was reasonable, only go by whether or not he chose to break the rules. Turning to Arkansas politics now, the first Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor is throwing their name into the hat. Kelly Kraut will hold a series of news conferences today to officially announce her candidacy. In 2020, Kraut ran for the state house but lost against Kendon Underwood. While Kraut is the first Democrat to enter the race, there are several on the Republican side, quite a list in fact. It includes Arkansas Surgeon General Greg Bledsoe, State Senator Jason Rapert, former state GOP head Doyle Webb, Washington County Judge Joseph Wood, and Chris Beckett, who just announced his campaign this week. Early voting resumes today in the Little Rock special election for the Rebuild the Rock sales tax increase. On Wednesday, another 1,876 early votes were cast for Little Rock's special election as the mayor seeks public approval for his Rebuild the Rock program. That brings the total number of votes cast so far to just over 3,200. Early voting continues through Monday the 13th, and Election Day is the following day, Tuesday the 14th. To learn more about the proposal or where you can vote, just go to thv-at-noon.com or download our mobile app. All right, let's turn to the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. There is still an urgent need for relief in Louisiana this afternoon. 11 more deaths were reported there yesterday. The statewide total is now 26. More deaths are blamed on heat and other causes in Louisiana than on the hurricane itself. Around 250,000 people in the state are still without power. David Begnaud has the latest.
You can practically walk on water where Bayou Barataria separates Jean Lafitte from Barataria, Louisiana. That grass is marsh, thrust in by Hurricane Ida's storm surge, which pushed a barge into the only bridge connecting these two communities. That knocked out the bridge, sunk the barge, and cut off the 1,200 residents in Barataria.
When I get up to...
We went to meet one of them.
Nice to meet you, sir.
It's nice to talk to somebody.
It's nice to talk to somebody.
My dog won't speak to me anymore.
Robert Gonzalo's home has been surrounded by floodwater for the last 10 days. He's lived here for 42 years, and Hurricane Katrina was the only one he evacuated for.
I was expecting water, but I wasn't expecting this kind of water.
Why didn't you leave for this one?
Good question. Why didn't I? I don't know. Me and my son decided just to stay. You know, just hang around.
His home is 8 feet off the ground, and the water came within a foot of flooding it. Just down the street from here, about a mile, is where we met 77-year-old Earl Trish.
Holding this, holding that for more than 3 hours, keeping the wind and rain down somewhat. The wind would blow so hard it would blow me back.
His home is high and dry. His wife evacuated, but he refused to. He had a heart attack 5 months ago, and when we met him, he had just run out of his heart medication. So his neighbor Lisa went and got it for him.
Well,
got your prescriptions.
That's the main thing I'm after.
Just yesterday, the state of Louisiana reported 11 new storm-related deaths, and they said that 9 of those were heat-related. 9. No power means no air conditioning, and the good folks in Barataria across the bayou have been told you probably won't get your power back until at least the end of the month. David Begnaud, CBS News, this side of the bayou in Jean Lafitte, Louisiana.